Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Betting Show. We are back with the 2025 preview. This show is brought to you by freebets.com, the very best free bet offers brought to you daily by the Free Bets team. Adam, new sponsor, very excited about them. You've done some work with them already. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about it?
I have. I am the NFL writer. Me, of all people, could you imagine? Well, exactly. I mean, the good thing is that I can't use a pen, but I can use a laptop. So that's all that matters. So go over to Free Bets. They have got loads of content there for you. Lots of tells you all about all the promotions that you would want when it comes to betting sites, when it comes to casino sites. They have lots of betting tips there. If you want NFL betting tips from me, you can go and read my articles. There's some great guys over there that are doing football content, horse racing, boxing, every sport under the sun. They're all there. There's loads of them there. And it really has loads to offer. All you have to do, you literally go to freebets.com, click on, if you want to go to Ladbrokes and you want to have a welcome bonus, you just literally claim the offer, go on there, takes you straight to Ladbrokes, and happy days. So that's all you need to do if you go there. Obviously gamble 18 plus and gamble aware and all that. And yeah, I mean, they are sponsoring the show this season for us, and it should be good.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Obviously, the first show of the season is we go over sort of division winners. We go over like the awards and things like that. I've had quite a bit of success over the years with the awards. It seems to be a bit of my wheelhouse, picking out who might do well in the season, individual players. So yeah, nice one to get it rolling and get you excited for week one, which is literally round the corner.
Yeah, it's Thursday, isn't it? So, we're recording this Sunday night. It probably is going to go out on Monday. And yeah, it's exciting. We're nearly at that point now where the season started, and as a Green Bay Packer fan, some exciting news has happened. Yeah. And exciting times are ahead.
Well, does this mean we know where you're going with Defensive Player of the Year award then?
Oh God, no! You don't. I don't back my own team. Are you mad? What's wrong with you?
Well, with that said, Adam, let's jump into some of the odds and take a look at what we're going to go. So first of all, we have gone with a little bit different. I thought we did this last year. Adam, you were unsure whether this was the exact market we did, but I quite like the look at division top twos. You can have them in any order. You've just got to get the top two teams in the divisions. I think this is there's some good odds from what I've seen of it, and it looks like a fairly decent place to start. With the odds being so short on a lot of the actual outright division winners, this seems like a market that is good to go at.
Yeah, I think you're probably right that it is, to be honest. I'm pretty confident that we did the straight forecast last year. That's where I think it's a little bit different. But yeah, the division top two ones, I do think that it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. So it's like, even if you don't necessarily get them in the right order, as long as they come in the top two, then happy days, sort of thing. There's a few of these that are actually pretty interesting as well. I mean, I think given the way that the off season has gone and what we feel, I'm not saying this is a particularly exciting price, but like the Philadelphia Eagles and Washington Commanders, the top one that you see there is 10-17, and it just, if you want kind of something that feels pretty guaranteed, I think in that division now, especially given the Micah Parsons trade coming away from the Cowboys, it really does feel that these two teams are quite a long way ahead. So that's, that if you're interested in a short price one, then that's definitely something. The one that I just very quickly had a look at, I'm pretty hot on the Denver Broncos this year, and the AFC West, which is just underneath it, it's got the Chiefs and the Broncos at 8-5. Now I know that there, a lot of people like the Chargers as well and think they could do well, but to me, I just feel like the Broncos, have developed more. I'm kind of a little bit more excited to see what they're going to do, and I think that they're going to be a very good team. Who Bo Nix in his second year hopefully will progress, and so yeah, I mean 8-5 for the Chiefs and Broncos. I do like the look of the AFC East, even money shot, the Bills and Patriots. I think that's a nailed on. Even money. I don't particularly like. The Jets, I think, will be solid defensively, but I don't think they'll be amazing. But the Dolphins, I think, are way off of it this season and are not going to do much. So, yeah, the Bills and Patriots are even money. I think that's a really interesting one to look at. I don't know. Have you got any that you like?
I mean, just going back to the AFC West, I was going to talk about the divisions a little bit more. I think the Chargers. I'm unsure with the Broncos. I know, yeah, they've got that defense, which is going to be absolutely incredible. Bo Nix, I do think, out of all of the rookies from last year, he started off a bit shaky, then got really, really good towards the end. So I think there's going to be progression as he carries on through this season under Sean Payton. So I agree with you in that fact. I just am unsure what they've got at the run game this year with having a whole new set of running backs. Everyone's gone, hasn't it? I know Esteme's gone and Williams is gone, so it's Dobbins and Harvey. And then at wide receiver, are you Cortland Sutton consistent? Mims had some flashes. Are you sold entirely on the fact that you think that wide receiving core is perfect and can get you to that second position over the Chargers, who I think have equally got a very, very good, talented defense? And I think their offense on paper looks better than the Broncos to me. I'm a bit more convinced. And equally, you could say both have got excellent head coaches. So there's not a head coaching mismatch there either.
No, I don't think there is. I when it comes to the coaches, I agree with you on that. Yeah, I think the Broncos, I wouldn't say it's perfect by any stretch, but I think that what you'll see with them is Evan Ingram having a really big role. So I think Cortland Sutton, Evan Ingram, I think you've got yourself two really good pass catching weapons there. I'm not who's the tight end at the Chargers? Help me out.
They had Will Disley.
They haven't got anyone of any real note, have they?
They brought in.
They brought Arando Gadsden in the draft, but I mean, I wouldn't expect too much from him in this first season. It's not. What my point is like they've got Lad McConkey, and obviously he's very good. But I think that you could probably argue that Cortland Sutton and Lad McConkey could basically do the same thing for each team.
I think that them bringing Keenan Allen back is really underrated.
That's true.
Talked about it, but quietly, Keenan Allen was good for the Bears. I
think he was good when they had injuries, wasn't he? And he sort of came up and still showed that he had
back
time.
To a team that he's got familiarity with already. So I think that's a sneaky good one. And I think Trey Harris has had a good, the rookie has had a good preseason as well. So I think there's some nice options there. And then they've got Najee and Hampton at the back. I know they have lost Rashawn Slater, haven't they? But do you think there's any chance whatsoever, while we're on this division, that there's the Chiefs, people are saying that the dynasty's over, like it's all that. Do you think there's any chance that the Chargers and Broncos leapfrog them at all?
No. So I remember I did the AFC West preview with Fred and Sky, and we've got all of them videos out if anyone wants to go and watch them, and they're all sort of like clipped up for the individual team. And I know Fred was very, very hot on the Chargers, Sky was very hot on the Broncos, and I think they will all both improve they're both genuine threats when it comes to actually winning the Super Bowl. They want to be in the playoffs. Once you get in the playoffs, anyone can win anything, and they do have potential to do it. However, I just feel with the Chiefs, they're such a strong unit, and they're so used to basically that offense is so used to being good purely because of Patrick Mahomes, and I just don't. And all the time Patrick Mahomes is there, I just don't see how they don't end up sort of like in the top two for this specific market. I don't see how they don't end up in the top two, and so I think it's very, very difficult to think that the Chargers and Broncos would be able to both jump them and finish 4-1.
Yeah, I agree. I think the defense is strong. I think their running game, Pacheco, they're happier with his health a bit more. So I think they'll have a lot more support in the run game than they did have last year. So and then we'll just jump back up to the AFC East before we move down. I agree with you. I think the odds there, even at 10-17, is short. I think that's the bet. I think I like the Giants to overachieve from what they're projected this year, but I don't think that overachievement gets them to 9-10 wins that we think the Commanders might be around. So I might have a cheeky something on Eagles, Giants, just because I'm optimistic that there is going to be that overachievement. But as a advice giving show, I think the bet is the Commanders, Eagles. And then, I don't think we need to even hover around the AFC East too much with the Bills and Patriots. I think the other two are quite... The Dolphins, especially, I think, are in big trouble this year.
Yeah.
And Jets, I really don't know what you're going to get from the Jets, to be fair.
I think so. From what I've read and seen when it comes to the Jets, I think they're going to be a strong defensive team, but when it comes to the offense, I think there's going to be a limit to what you get with Justin Fields. They're not going to get close to these other two teams, and I just feel like although the Patriots have been in the doldrums a bit, they've got the second easiest schedule I think it is they've got this season, and I mean even money. I think that I'm surprised that it's that big. Wait, not because of how amazing the Patriots are, but more just how bad the other two teams are. That surprises me that it's even money. It's not something that you're necessarily, it's not a massive winner, but, double your money. It's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, Patriots last year were terrible, and they've spent a lot of money in the offseason. They've brought in a lot of players to strengthen the areas that were a concern. So you'd think that they would improve dramatically, including with the head coach they've got as well.
Yeah, I think with Mike Vrabel as well, you just got to expect a significant improvement. And the second year, Drake May as well. So it's like it's all signs are looking positive for them.
We'll move down to the AFC North. Probably one that's probably a nice little bet to have. Other than one team in the Cleveland Browns, which I think we're all in agreement is going to be from the way they've moved in the offseason and the trades they've made and the decisions they've made, it does look like they're accumulating picks for next year's draft to move up and make some moves. So it looks like they're not overly concerned with how they're going to play this year, despite the fact they've still got some very talented players on that defense. And in the last couple of years, the team's not massively changed, and they have had some success under Stefanski. So are you in agreement that the Ravens are topping this? Do you think that it's the Ravens that are going to win this? And then if so, are you higher on the Steelers or the Bengals?
Yeah, I think the Ravens win this fairly comfortably. They're a much better team all round than what the rest of them are, and I would be very surprised if the others manage to get near them. To be honest, I just don't really see it. I mean, on the individual market, they're 5-8. You look at the Bengals, they're 5-2. So I mean, it's quite a big difference, and the Steelers obviously are bigger than that. Yeah, when it comes to who they're with, I do think that the Bengals kind of make more sense. It's not really one that I would. It's funny for me personally. I would much rather be betting the Bills and the Patriots at even money than the Ravens and the Bengals at 5-6, because that Bengals defense is pretty poor. But obviously, we've seen Trey Hendrickson come back into the fold now, and it looks like that he's going to play for them. Shamar Stewart has signed his contract, so they've got a couple of really good edge rushers there who might be able to do something. But the secondary is pretty poor, to be honest, and I feel like you're reliant very, very heavily on Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins in order to get that offense going and for it to win games. I think they're going to have to put up a lot of points. When it comes to the Steelers, yeah, great defense, which is obviously really important, but I don't know how well that offense is going to go, to be honest. I'm not saying that Rodgers is done, because I actually thought towards the end of his time with the Jets, you could see that there was a little bit of life still there and he was doing pretty well but he did have Devontae Adams, and it was literally going only to Devontae Adams a lot of the time. But there was a bit of fight there, and I think there's enough juice there from him in order to like have a decent season. But I wouldn't want to be back in it, to be honest. I just think it's difficult to be on their side in this market.
Do you think Tomlin has his first losing season?
Not necessarily, actually. I think that you might find that he does somehow get like a 9-8. There is something about this which it wouldn't surprise me if the Steelers got into the playoffs under Rodgers. I do feel like that could happen, and but just purely because they won't have to score that many points in order to do it. So it's like, I think they're going to be a very difficult team to beat, and they're going to do reasonably well. I just don't think they're like, real top anymore.
I mean, I've just looked at their schedule quickly because I know that I think it looks like a fairly simple schedule, but not the easiest. Obviously, it's not the easiest when you've got to play the Bengals and the Ravens twice. But just having a quick look at it, it does look like there's a floor of 10 wins and a ceiling of sort of maybe 12 wins. So I think that's close to securing you maybe second spot. So I think there is some money to be had in that 2-1 for me.
I wouldn't put you off it. I just wouldn't. But like I say, I wouldn't really be on either of them. I do think the Bengals and Steelers are very close for very, very different reasons. But I think that
one
they
offense, one defense. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. If we could amalgamate the two together, you might get a half decent side out of them. But it's a tough one, that one.
The AFC South, I mean, straight off the bat, the odds look pretty favourable on just taking the favourites. So I think when you look at it as well, that 2-1, we think surely Texans are winning this. Colts look like it might be over in the first couple of weeks. If it doesn't go well, it's time to trade some assets and not worry about finishing last. And the Titans were pretty poor last year and have upgraded at quarterback, but I don't think it's enough to challenge when the moves the Jags have made. And we all think the Jags this year, Trevor Lawrence is going to actually kick on with the new offensive coordinator and have a good year. So I think that 2-1 is an absolute fantastic bet.
Yeah, I when I just quickly look through these, I think that it's difficult to find a better one, given the price, where you can be like not 100% certain for obvious reasons, but like, I'm pretty confident on this one, and you sort of feel like no, and the price is this to me is a bit like Bills Patriots, but it's at 2-1 instead of even money, and so yeah, I mean, as you say, Texans great defense. The offense kind of struggled a little bit last season in CJ Stroud's second year. But they've brought in a couple more wide receivers.
They had no wide receivers. He was throwing.
Yeah, well, they all got injured, didn't they? And that was the problem.
Were just random fans that were in the parking lot going, "Yeah."
So they've got a couple more wide receivers. They should be good for that. And I think, Joe Mixon's going to miss the first 4 games, but once he gets past that, he should be back. And they do have other.
Nick Chubb's not a bad replacement.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. They've got other running backs, so they're not too bad. When it comes to Jacksonville, I think, Jags fans, I hate to say it, should probably start to be a little bit excited with what they've got here, because not only have they got Brian Thomas, they've got Travis Hunter. They've got 3 sort of pretty decent running backs really now.
And they seem quite happy with Etienne, who seemed to be the odd man out at the start of the year. They seem to be saying, no, we're happy with him.
And And most importantly, they've got a new head coach who you have seen during his time in Tampa Bay has managed to basically revitalize a quarterback that has struggled. And that's basically where the Jags are. Trevor Lawrence is a quarterback who has struggled. And now they've got this head coach who has done it with Baker Mayfield, who can hopefully now do it with Trevor Lawrence. And if he can do that and he can put that confidence into him and show that it's working, I think that offense becomes very, very strong. Defensively, they are still a little bit weak, I would say, in the secondary. They're not great. I think the front's not too bad, so they should be okay for that. But it's really going to depend how much Travis Hunter plays at corner. But yeah, they look like a pretty exciting team. And then, as you were saying, the other teams in this league, I mean, the Colts genuinely could fall off a cliff this season. They have the potential to really fall away. They don't really have much of a quarterback, to be honest. It's like Anthony Richardson has been essentially dropped, and they're going with Daniel Jones, and we've seen what Daniel Jones can do already, and I don't really imagine he's going to be amazing. So there's that issue. And then obviously the Titans they're just trying to develop Cam Ward. And if the Titans can come out of this season with 6 wins, they've done well, is what I would argue. That's what they've got to be looking at. It's all about developing Ward. So yeah, 2-1 on this one is a very nice price.
We'll take a look at the NFC South next. Another division where I think most people are confident that this is still the Buccaneers division. I think, Baker had an absolutely fantastic season last year. They've brought back a lot of the same people. So I know they have had a change at coordinator. For me, I think the Falcons, there was a lot of hype about them last year, and it just didn't quite work out like they thought it was going to. But I do think they've strengthened on that defense through the draft, and their offensive weapons and running backs. And Michael Penix, I believe in. So I think I'm more bullish on Falcons over Panthers, which is the next one you're probably looking at in this, because I think we can write the Saints off, surely.
Yeah, I think the Saints are pretty much a no-go. I'm really confident in the Panthers this year. I think they're going to have a big jump, but I do agree with you where I just don't feel like it's going to be enough to take away from the Falcons.
They're kind of where the Falcons were last year, aren't they? You're kind of saying, they look good. This should work, and then it might work, but not fully. And then next year, when all the rookies and everybody seems to be a lot more gelled, we might be saying, Panthers could be second in this group. I think Falcons are just 1 year ahead of them in where they are in terms of franchises at the minute.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty fair, and that's where they are. And obviously, we're kind of relying on Michael Penix, and he's only started 3 games, but he looked pretty good in them 3 games. He had a good rapport with Drake London in them 3 games at the end of last year. And you got to think that he's going to kick on. I think the Falcons just in general are a bit of a weird team, because they're kind of that team where you could potentially sneak into the playoffs, but you wouldn't, like any team that's decent would not be worried if they came up against the Falcons. And it's that weird sort of situation that they're in where they're good enough to get in but they'll be one and done kind of thing. Having said that, for this market, I think they probably are the second best team here, and I would be surprised if the Bucs didn't win it by fairly comfortably.
Yeah, and it's fairly decent odds. If you put in
these
together
in a little accumulator,
we've got an even money, a couple of 2-1s, and a 6-4, which
I don't think you can put them in accumulators, can you?
Oh.
I think it's all individual markets. Yeah, I don't think you can put them in an accumulator. Well, but even it doesn't matter. Yeah, even still at 6-4, you're getting more than double money. It's a decent price, and it's definitely one to look at.
The NFC West, Adam. We were a bit torn on this one as a podcast when we went over it. I really like the 49ers to top it. The betting markets really like the 49ers to top it. They have the easiest schedule. And then we were all split on Rams and Seahawks, weren't we? I believe.
Well, I think the Rams are going to win it.
There we go.
So I have a Super Bowl prediction article coming out soon on freebets.com. and I have included the LA Rams. I'm very strong on the LA Rams this year, and I think that the Rams will do well, and so I really like them. I'm not so hot on the 49ers. I don't think that I think they're going to struggle to cover all these all these players that they've lost and all the injuries that they've got. And it's just like, it's never ending for the 49ers at the moment. It's tough. I still think they will do all right, but I am very much 50-50 between them and the Seahawks as to who comes into the second
you
place.
Like the 13-2 on the Rams Seahawks?
Well,
I wouldn't put anybody off that bet either, because the Seahawks look decent.
Yeah, because the Seahawks had the problem with the Seahawks is you're kind of thinking to yourself, is Sam Darnold going to be able to do what Geno Smith did last year and have them as like a 10-7 team? And I think given the staff and that Sam Darnold flourished under Kevin O'Connell at the Vikings, and he's come from the McVay tree, and you've got Clint Kubiak as the OC at the Seahawks, and he's come from the same tree, and you just kind of feel like there's a chance that he will do pretty well for them. Having said that, it's difficult with Sam Darnold because obviously he's had times when he's been such a disaster that everyone thought that he wasn't going anywhere, and he was kind of like a backup quarterback or going around the league.
His disasters came from franchises that
were also having big disasters themselves.
The Jets and the Panthers, we haven't talked about being able to. Whereas the Seahawks, developed and pushed on with Russell Wilson. They gave Geno a second chance and managed. He was a backup everywhere until he went there, and now he's a starter and getting paid. So I think he's in a stable environment, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So you kind of hope that because of that it will work out for him. So yeah, the 13-2, I wouldn't put anyone off of it. I like it as odds. But at the same time, 8-5 for the 49ers. It really depends how you feel and whether you feel that the 49ers can overcome all these injuries and can overcome the fact that they've lost. They've lost two huge names sort of in the secondary in Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw, and that you can't just replace them guys. That's so difficult to replace guys like that.
I think both of them were injured last year, weren't they? So they pretty much played without.
Yeah, but I suppose the point is that when they were sort of really doing well and at their peak, the 49ers they were playing a lot because last year obviously they went 6-11. You could argue partly because they weren't playing much. So it's like the fact that they're not there anymore. You're really, really reliant on the health of Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
if you that's what you're relying on.
You're relying on the health of Matt Stafford for the Rams.
You are, yeah, that's true. He is meant to be starting, isn't he? They've come out and said that he's going to play and that he should be fit to go. But yes, you're right. You are reliant on that. But yeah, it's a difficult one. It kind of almost makes you feel a little bit like you want to take something at a bigger price.
Yeah, I think that's that's the bet, the dark horse bet of everything we've been through, that 13-2. I think the 2-1 with the Jags Texans is the safe bet in my eyes. I know you like the even money bet, but I like that one because there's a bit more back in it. And this one I like as a dark horse bet. But the last division we have is your division, Adam, with the NFC North. Lions Packers. I think it's written on it now, isn't it? Lions Packers. Do you think there's any chance of the Vikings or the Bears sneaking in, or is this 19-10? Get your money on it now.
Yeah, I feel like the 19-10 is kind of the one to go for here. when it comes to the Bears, I think there's going to be a few growing pains under Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. I think that we've seen a bit of that in preseason already. And I think that you're going to find that, you can't just jump so much sort of thing. I mean, they're still a really good team. I just think they're in a very tough division. The Vikings have a chance. It felt like they overperformed last year though. The defense did well. The offense, it's really going to be about how JJ McCarthy starts in, effectively his rookie year, although it's his second. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult to put your money on a quarterback like that when you haven't really seen what he can do in the NFL.
With the roster that the Vikings have got this year, because we all agreed, I think, pre-season that their roster's stacked. I mean, even before the draft, we looked at it and went, "Yeah, this is a good roster." If it doesn't start well and JJ McCarthy's not great, do you think they go, "This is our year, our roster's good," and they make some moves at quarterback? Or what do you think you've got with this team?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, we did do. I remember when we did when we were doing the draft show, just before and after it, and we were looking and going. We were sort of like reviewing it and looking at who they took, and they didn't have that many draft picks. And it turned out the reason they didn't have many draft picks is because they didn't need that many draft picks because they have got a pretty strong roster. I think, if it doesn't work out with JJ McCarthy and he does struggle,
I'm talking sort of like, if they start the year, they're 2-5 or something like that. Do you think they go, should we make a move now and like push for this because our roster's good enough to win it? Or
I think that's really, really difficult to do to a quarterback in his first playing year.
Yeah,
because it does I think they're kind of, in a weird kind of way, they're almost going to have to trust the process a little bit. And if that means that they're not going to be able to do anything this year, then it means they're not going to be able to do anything this year. But I don't know with the Vikings. The Vikings are a weird one that they went 14-3 and then they got kicked out of the playoffs first go. And they just, as soon as they went up against a good team, they struggled. And I kind of feel like that's what you're dealing with here. I expect them to regress a little bit because of JJ McCarthy anyway. And I think top two, I think it's possible that they could do it, but I feel like the Lions and the Packers now are just too strong.
Yeah, I mean, I now can't put my money on which one I think will top this group. I'm 50-50 split with whether it's going to be the Lions or the Packers that actually top it completely.
So, the Lions were favourite for this division when not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now that the Micah Parsons trade has happened, the Packers are now 7-4 favourites and the Lions are 2-1. Again, as you say, it's so difficult. And actually, what I'd probably come out and say to most people,
makes this bet even more.
Get on this bet at 19-10 because you're basically in between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So I think 19-10 is a decent bet. If you want to bet on the NFC North, go for that market instead of actually having to physically pick one.
Yeah, we did say that originally before we came on that we were going to look at regular season wins. I know we've been through it together. Well, not together. We've been through it individually and then come together and said, actually, there wasn't a lot of great odds that we really, really liked in this section. Adam, was there anything just quickly you had picked out on there that you did like?
So I quite like the Carolina Panthers at over 7.5.
Yep.
At 7-5. I think that I could see them getting to 8. I think that they've got a good chance of that one, so I don't mind that one. What else was there? There was your guys. Where are
the
you?
Giants. I like the Giants.
Yeah, the New York Giants again, but over 6.5 at 7-5. I think that's a good price over 6.5 because your defense is stacked.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to take you a very long way. Russell Wilson as well showed at the Steelers that he wasn't completely over the hill. I don't think he's going to be amazing for you, but I think if the defense does well, then it means that he's not going to have to do too much. So at 7-5 on that one, I quite like that bet. The rest of it, I was just a little bit. The odds are not great. It's it's an over under match bet, isn't it? So you're not really expecting to get too much here, but yeah, I mean the Dolphins under 7.5 is 20-23.
I know we were hot on the Seahawks. Their odds aren't terrible if you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose over 9.5 for the Seahawks is 17-10.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like they can do the same as what they did last year, which was 10-7, then you've got that. I mean, that's actually not a bad price for the Seahawks. So they're all right. Yeah, there's a few. There's a few. Actually, thinking about it, the Jags are over 8.5 is 7-5. That's not bad. Eight wins for the Jags, I think, is very doable at 7-5. There are a few out there. They're not particularly massive prices, but there's definitely a few that are worth having a look.
On to the big ones then. That is the awards. If I can navigate to them.
Now, before we get on to the awards, I have written articles for most of these at freebets.com. I can keep this going all day. So go over there, have a look, read really bad writing by me.
No, I don't know. You went over a few of them with me prior to putting it out, and I like some of the options you've gone for, and I've seen some of the little write-ups as well. They are quite good, to be fair.
You've been reading my writing. Oh, how sweet of you.
I don't compliment you that often, so get a free one from freebets.com. You can have a free compliment. We won't do assistant coach of the year because I didn't have any notes on.
I didn't even know that was a market.
I mean, if you were, just from looking at it, is there anything Clint Kubiak 16-1?
I don't even know who they all are. These people aren't assistant coach. Oh no, sorry, I get it. I understand now. It's basically the OCs and the DCs, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh god, I can't even remember who they're all on now. I don't. Who's the LA Rams assistant coach? Anyone know? Chris Schuler. He's the LA Rams. Is he the defense?
Just trying to test me out my knowledge here, aren't you?
Yeah.
You just love the Rams. So
Todd Monken, 30-1. There you go. For the Ravens.
You can have Mike LaFleur or Chris Schuler.
I'm going to go Todd Monken, 30-1 for the right. Who have the Bills got? Joe Brady, 20-1. This is who's betting on this market. Sorry,
I don't know what the criteria is for that as well, because I know when we look at Coach of the Year, the team that does the best doesn't win Coach of the Year, do they? So it's just someone who's overachieved. Let's get into it. We'll go down the list as it is. Offensive Player of the Year. I think there's some really good odds in this this section straight off the bat. Do you want to go first, Adam? I know we've got this same idea on a few of them. I know that already.
Yeah, I've got a couple of them at bigger prices. The one that I did really, really like, and he went along and got himself a 6-game ban. So it was Rashee Rice. Unfortunately, that one's not happening. So for me, I think you got to go for guys who are obviously going to have the potential to just see loads of volume. I like Brian Thomas at 35-1. I think he's got a really good chance of seeing a lot of volume. Really like Drake London at 50-1.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really good price because he is, he will be the number one guy at Atlanta. They are a team who could get in the playoffs. And although I came out and said I don't feel like anyone will fear them in the playoffs, I think if they can get on a run and do something, like I say, once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. So Drake London at 50-1, I think, is a really, really good price. However, I find it very, very difficult to get away from Jamar Chase at 9-1. And I just think, although T. Higgins is there as well,
Yeah, and at the minute he's fit as well, so he's not going to miss
yeah,
games. So I'm going to share a bit.
Yeah. I can't see Jamar Chase not having a really strong season as long as he doesn't get injured. Basically, that's what you're dealing with, and you're on a team where the defense is poor, and if they're going to win games, they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. And we've seen it before that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase can work, and yeah, I think that's tough to get away from. The others, I feel like you can come up with reasons as to why it won't happen. But with Jamar Chase, I think it's difficult to find a reason.
Well, I know this is not fantasy; it's real life betting. But I was listening to a fantasy show a few weeks back, and they were talking about wide receiver who has the potential to be wide receiver one this year that hasn't been wide receiver one before. And they were saying that in order to get wide receiver one, you had to meet so many levels of criteria because that's the pattern that's been in the previous. And they said there's 3 wide receivers that meet that criteria this year that could possibly be the wide receiver one. And that was Nico Collins, Puka Nacua, and Drake London. And of those 3, I think Puka Nacua for me has the chance to be wide receiver one in terms of yards and receptions and things like that.
Yeah. So my concern with Puka this year is that you got Devontae Adams there. And I really do feel like that is going to take away quite a large chunk of not. When I say take away, it's probably the wrong word or phrase. It's more. It's going to be more evenly split, I think, between the two. And I think Stafford is going to see that he's got 2 really good wide receivers who can separate. And so before, I think last year when Cooper Kupp was there, it felt like he had dropped off and they had lost a step. I don't think you've got that with Devontae Adams. And I think that might be where the problem is. I'm not saying that. I think it's going to be more 1A, 1B than 1 and 2. And I think that is an issue for Puka to be able to put up the numbers in order to win an award like this.
And then my other one that I really, really liked, we've just spoke about it briefly when we're talking about which teams will top divisions. You said, not even me, I'm just piggybacking off this, that if the 49ers are to do well, they're going to rely heavily on Christian McCaffrey. We know he's good in the receiving game and we know he's good in the running game. So at 20-1, they've got the easiest schedule of anyone by a long way. 20-1 really for Christian McCaffrey seems like a good bet to me. I think he could have a Saquon Barkley-like year that he had last year when the Eagles' schedule was easier.
Yeah, so it was interesting actually because I was just about to say none of us had picked any running backs, that we were all going wide receivers. But yes, I think you're right with McCaffrey because obviously he is not the whole offense. George Kittle is incredibly good. I think Ricky Pearsall will have a good season as well. So, that they have got weapons there. But as you say, if this team is to succeed in any way, Christian McCaffrey is going to have to not necessarily get back to how he was before, but he's certainly going to have to perform quite well. Obviously, the reason that the price is 20-1 is the injury concern. So, I mean, that's it's almost like you're taking a slightly bigger gamble because of that.
Get injured.
Yeah, exactly. He might get injured, and if his arthritis stuff flares up again, then he's done. So that's basically what you're dealing with. He should be fine, is what they're all coming out and saying, but we'll have to wait and see on it. And but yeah, that's why he's the price he is.
Any of the others you like before we move on?
Not especially. I would probably tell people to avoid Saquon I think at that price, it's incredibly short.
I also think they're going to have to throw the ball a lot more this year to win.
Yeah, I think I mean, he's had injury problems in his career as well. He had an injury-free season last year, and he excelled. And obviously, he's behind one of the best O lines in the league, which is great for him. But the idea that he's going to be able to do what he did last year just because he's Saquon is a little bit flawed, I think. And so I think it's going to be tough. At that price, it just feels way too short. But yeah, I mean, there isn't, like I say, there's lots of reasons for people to not go for them. I can't I can't really see anyone else that I'm that excited about.
We'll move on to Defensive Player of the Year. So Defensive Player of the Year, your new acquisition, Parsons at 5-1 is the favourite. We've said in previous years with this, we kind of like it's hard to move past the top four names every single year. In Hutchinson, Garrett, and TJ Watt and Parsons, but it usually goes to one of them, and then it's whoever we like outside of that. Is it the same again this year?
Well, I kind of think that it might not be. I've got a couple of guys that I like the look of this year who I think are in situations that can do really well. My main bet for this is Jad Verse.
Well, we had him last year for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. I really like Jad Verse. He's got a really good opportunity in that Rams front seven that is very, very strong, and he's the star of it. And I think that he does have the potential to really be able to put up some big numbers. So at 16-1, he is a really interesting price. I think Max Crosby, the reason I like Max Crosby is I think under it's a funny one because obviously they had Antonio Pierce, didn't they, as their head coach? And he was kind of very sort of like players coach and sort of like aggressive and stuff like that. And you would think that would make a difference and that would sort of like, juice them all up and stuff like that. And it just didn't really work very well. Whereas I think under Pete Carroll, I think you're just going to have a team that's just a bit more successful. And I think he's going to do more. And I do wonder if that might get a little bit more out of Crosby as well. I mean, he's been pretty good all his career, but I do think it might get some more out of him because I feel like as good as he has been, sometimes you have to think that some of these players feel like they're going through the motions a little bit in games that don't mean anything. So I think they're going to be involved in a lot more games that are more meaningful for them. So, yeah, I like Crosby at 14-1 as well. But, yeah, I mean, obviously it's very difficult to get away from the top four. But, yeah, just a couple of guys at a slightly bigger price. And obviously, we should mention that last year Patrick Surtain won it. So, at 25-1, he's still the best corner in the league on an amazing defense.
Yeah, that only got stronger. We talked about how good the Giants front seven might look this year. If people are having to focus really heavily on Burns and Thibodeau and Abdul Carter, any chance that Sexy Dexy gets in at 50-1? I think he's very, very underrated at how much of a destroyer he is. It's just not a position that we've seen. Obviously, Aaron Donald, but it tends to more go those edge rushers. But he gets the sacks, he gets the stops, and at 50-1, is it worth £2.50?
He does, and he is a big price, and you look at it and you do sort of think, is it worth going for something like that? I suppose a couple of quid it's not too bad, but it's unlikely is what I'd probably say.
We'll move on to, well, oddly, I'm not sure why that's the next one on the markets, but Coach of the Year. You'd think they would do the players, then the coaches. But Coach of the Year, Adam, this notoriously goes to someone that has overachieved. So we've seen the likes of Stefanski and Daboll and people like that win it and not even have scrape into the playoffs with a wild card spot. So we know it's not going to go to the big names. So who do you think's got the chance of overachieving, getting a wild card spot, and walking away with this award?
I don't know if it's necessarily overachieving. I think sometimes I think it's more you're going from a poor record to a good record.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So it's almost because I like Mike Vrabel for this.
Yeah.
But it's funny because we're coming out going, oh, we'd have them in the top 2 of the division. We'd have them as having a chance of getting in the playoffs. And you sort of think to yourself, so if everyone's thinking like that, it's not so much the overachieving, I'm guessing. But yeah, I like Vrabel at 13-2. I think he's got a very good chance. So, as I said, I think they've got a good chance of getting in the playoffs. So, that would put him into what did they go? They were the number 4 pick, were they? Was it 4 and
3 or 4
last year? 3 and 14, 4 and 13. I can't remember. Last season, they had an awful record, and they ended up picking number 4. But yeah, at 13-2, I think he's got a very good chance. And then, as we've said before, again, another team that you're looking at second, potentially becoming second in their division, potentially being able to get into the playoffs. Liam Cohen with the Jags at 11-1. They're the 2 guys that I tipped up, and I think that they've both. I'm a little surprised Liam Cohen is as big as he is. I would have thought him and Vrabel would have been closer together. But yeah, I think that they've both got really good chances at this. And actually, that's partly the reason with the whole going from a really poor record to a big record. It's kind of the reason I don't really like Ben Johnson for this. Because the Bears were not, they struggled. But I think that if you're a team and firstly, I don't think they'll reach the playoffs. I think they'll probably come last in their division, even with the improvement.
Well, the expectation on him as well is to come out and be this.
Yeah. Well, they're expecting exactly what happened in Detroit to happen in Chicago. Yeah. And as we all know, it rarely happens.
So I think he's already got a bit of an uphill battle with people saying, we already think he's going to be great. So if he's not great and he's just good, he's not going to win the award. I think Mike McDonald is he had a good year last year in terms of record, so it might be tough.
But that's the problem, isn't it? It's 10-7, and he got in the playoffs.
People are not expecting from the odds. People are expecting them to finish last in the group. So I think because they're expecting them to finish bottom, if they get into the playoffs, he's overachieved in my eyes, and that's where he comes into the conversation of going, we thought this team was going to be awful, and they've been good. So I think he could be within a shot at 16-1.
Yeah, I can see the reasoning behind it. I think there's a few guys there, but for me, the one that you could argue Dave Canales at 15-1 if they suddenly push on and do compete with the Falcons in order, then fair enough. But for me, like Vrabel and Cohen, and especially at the price of 11-1, I think Liam Cohen.
Liam Cohen's the bet, I think.
Yeah.
You'd already snatched it, so I had to come up with a different name. Comeback Player of the Year. We don't usually cover this one, but as it's next on there, we can briefly touch on it. They've changed the rules on this one slightly, haven't they? You have to actually have been injured. Is that right now, or you can't just win it for being rubbish?
Being rubbish, yeah. I believe you actually have to have some form of injury. It's Aiden Hutchinson, isn't it?
Yeah.
At 9-4, it's not a bad price. But the only one
McCaffrey,
who I think is McCaffrey, and he would have to have a great season.
The story would be nice for Chubb to win it after how horrendous his injury was.
Yeah, it would be. I just don't think
he's going to get enough game time, is he? If Mixon's back, if he's back.
No. So yeah, I think Aiden Hutchinson's a pretty much foregone conclusion, but McCaffrey, is possible. Why Dak is there, I'm not sure. But there you go.
Yeah. Well, he got injured last year, didn't he? So.
Well, yeah, that's fair enough.
Offensive rookie of the year. I think there's some great odds in this one as well. The offensive side of the ball seems to be where the good odds seem to be had. It looks like it's heavily on the running backs, looking at some of the top ones. Adam, I know which name I like on this. Who have you got?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one, this one, because there's some really good talent here. And the running backs, especially, we were saying it during the draft, how amazing these running backs are going to be in the NFL. I do like Hampton at 8-1. I think he's on a team that could push for the playoffs and could really make an impact in the playoffs as well. So I think that Hampton at 8-1 is a good one. I also think he's probably going to end up being the main guy there very, very quickly. So for that, I like him. I like Henderson at 12-1. I think for all the same reasons, just on the Patriots, and obviously, you know, there can be that sort of story of the Patriots being this bad and becoming a playoff team and all that. So I do really like them. So I think you've got two running backs there who are really, really good and have got good chances of coming in. I'm not really sure about any of the rest. It's kind of like, I mean, a lot of people will go to Genty, and I think Genty's going to have a great NFL career and a great season. I just don't like the price at that.
Yeah, I don't think the team's ready to have a.
No.
You know, I think some of the players on other teams, their teams might have more success, so they might have more success.
And the wide receivers, the running, not the running back, the tight ends and the quarterbacks, I find it difficult to see any of them making such a significant impact that they're going to overtake them. I like Egbuka. The problem with Egbuka,
I've got him down having a lot of volume. So if he's got the volume, you know, they take into account whether he gets near the rookie reception, whether he, you know, he's yarded. I think he'll be used in the red zone as well. So I think if he gets around 800 yards and 6-7 touchdowns, he'll be in with a shout of it.
Yeah, I can see that 16-1. I think he'll be all right. My concern with Egbuka is he just going to be around until Godwin comes back? And then as soon as Godwin comes back, are they just going to put him back on the bench and not be involved enough in order to do that? I mean, they shouldn't. He's great from day one. He's going to be.
He'll still be out there though, wouldn't he? If Godwin gets back, they're going to start with Evans, Egbuka, and Godwin if that's the case.
Yeah, but I suppose they can. So it's like he probably has the potential to do the most. I'm not overly sold on McMillan or Hunter being able to get enough in them offenses. I think with Hunter, you got Brian Thomas taking a lot. With McMillan, I think the Panthers will do well. I just don't think that they'll do amazingly well. It's hard to get away from them running backs.
Yeah, and I know we weren't hot on him in the draft process. Well, I wasn't, especially. Matthew Golden, lots of hype about him going into the season.
Yeah, he's looked good in the preseason. I think he'll do well for the Packers. I don't think it gets spread around too much. There's too many mouths to feed, and I just don't think that Golden's going to put up enough numbers in order to win this. Yeah,
I think for me, it's the two Ohio State guys that I like in it. Henderson.
Well, that's convenient, isn't it? It's the two Ohio State guys from the Ohio State fan. What a surprise.
You know, the odds are good on them as well. But, well, typically, this award goes to an Ohio State player.
There you go.
Shocked last year when, somehow they didn't manage to wangle it Marvin Harrison's way.
They couldn't find one. They were desperately searching and they just couldn't find him.
No. So, usually.
So there you go. Henderson, Egbuka, $5 on each. You can't lose. Andrew's told you.
Defensive rookie of the year, an area of the draft that you really like. I know you've already spent a lot of time looking at the guys for next year's draft. So you've already started the process. So you know a lot of these guys well. Is it your boy Mike Green, or is there anyone else you like here?
Oh, I'd love it to be Mike Green, but I'm afraid I don't think he's going to see enough time in order to win this. I'm a bit sort of, this is not a great market. I think it's a bit of a foregone conclusion again. I think it'll be Abdul Carter because I just think he will. I think he's going to be huge for the Giants, and the fact that that defensive line is so strong is only going to improve his chances.
Yeah, I think he's got a great chance at winning it. Obviously, he's going to, whether he gets outshone by Brian Burns or if Thibodeau steps up and Carter sort of moves to a linebacker role occasionally, I don't know, maybe that's the reason he might, but he should do. Outside of that, I quite like James Pierce at a chance to win it. I know that a lot of, Walker's less odds than him already, but there's been a lot of hype from their camp to say he's the guy they really like in order to get the sacks and things. So I might have a cheeky fiver on James Pierce for this.
What do you think? Because there's a spot has opened up, shall we say, for Donovan Ezeraku at 22-1.
That defense is awful, though.
The defense is awful. But he's going to be running a lot, and we know he runs with his hair on fire. So, just saying, at a bigger price. There's no Micah Parsons there now. Ezeraku is likely to take over as edge rusher.
Yeah, well, I'd be shocked if he doesn't.
But Carter will win this.
He should do. But as we said, so Ezeraku's your, if it's not Carter, it's him, and James Pierce is my, if not.
Yeah, why not?
Other than that, we're not.
It's not a particularly great market, that one, to be honest.
You can't. I didn't look at whether didn't know. I hadn't scrolled that far before. I'd done the awards and had my bets, but to win both. Oh.
I think this is what's called a Travis Hunter market.
Yeah, so they should have just called it that. Heisman Trophy winner.
There you go.
Do you think he could somehow wangle his way? What would he need to win both? In terms of
stats?
Yeah, what would he need how many interceptions would he need, and how many yards and touchdowns would he need to be in the conversation to maybe get both?
I mean, I think yards and touchdowns, you're probably like what you've said before. It's going to be like 800 yards and 6 or 7 touchdowns, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Defensive stats, what's he going to need?
4, 5?
I don't think he wouldn't need much, would he?
4?
Yeah, 4. Yeah, I think 4 would be about right. I think any less, it's probably not enough. But I don't feel like you need to go to 4, especially if people look at it as though it's his sort of second, his second one. He's more wide receiver than he is corner, I suppose.
But I think Abdul Carter will put
what's the odds for it though? Because it's rookie. We're not talking for the main ones. It's just offensive rookie. What's the odds for that?
Offensive rookie, he is
no offensive rookie and defense. So
8-1, and
it's to win either or.
That's to win both, 60-1.
Oh, to win, but no, that's not happening.
And then the 15-4 is to win either, and he's 8-1 and 10-1.
So you want to put up the 60-1 shot, do you?
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's no point in having the 15-4. You may as well just have money on both the other ones. 10-1 and 8-1.
I think it's unlikely that he.
Yeah, I think Abdul Carter might put an end to him winning.
I don't fancy him to win either of them.
Well, there's a path. I think there's an easier path for him
to win. There's a path to it, but not. Brian Thomas is going to take up so much of that.
True, but he can't win. He can't win it. So you've got to look at someone.
That's a good point.
Is there any other markets you want to look at, or is that?
I think the only one we probably should look at is MVP.
Oh yeah, we always forget that, don't we? Because it's
not in the regular season awards section. It's on its own.
Last one, MVP.
Last one, yeah. I think this is the last one. MVP. This is incredibly boring.
Did you get yourself past Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen?
No, I didn't. I wrote a lot of words, and at the end of it, I couldn't get past Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. I would take Josh Allen purely because he's 11-2 instead of 5-1.
They seem to just, swap round. It doesn't matter. Whoever has the better year will finish second, because last year I think Lamar Jackson deserved it, and the year before I thought Josh Allen deserved it, and they gave it to the opposite one. So that's where they were with that. Joe Burrow, if they actually do qualify, I think he deserved it also with the shout. So
he's got a chance. But
the stats that he put up last year, whereas Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are just going to top it up with rushing touchdowns, aren't they?
Yeah, I cannot see it going to anyone other than them two. And because of that, I literally just go Allen because of the price. Yeah, I have them as a 50-50 split completely.
I think he's the better quarterback as well. In my eyes, I think he throws the ball better than Jackson, and he's got touchdown upside. Whereas I think Lamar Jackson rushes the ball better, but his throw-in's still not, it's not quite there as well as Allen in my eyes.
I don't mind. I think they're both great.
Close your eyes, spin a bottle, whatever you like, pick one of them.
And there is nothing at a bigger price.
Yeah.
So don't bother looking. Is my point.
Some Eagles fans would probably now just be commenting saying, "No, Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the league. What are you on about?"
But you're going to have Saquon, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm just.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but
I just thought I'd mention him because I don't want them getting upset with me and saying like, "Why are you being so disrespectful about Jalen Hurts?" I'm like, "I'm not. Just not Josh Allen, is he?"
Yeah, but it's the top two. That's it.
Well, Adam, that's all the odds. We kept it to an hour as well. I think we've done quite well there. Really looking forward to the season. As you said, Thursday it all kicks off. Then there's a game on Friday. Well, Friday's Saturday morning for us, the international game in Brazil, and then it's all go. So we will be back next. When are we back for the show? What are we?
I think the plan is Friday evenings, isn't it? That we're going to record it and then it will be out somewhere Friday evening late or Saturday morning.
2 games for the start of the season. Then so looking forward to it. Hopefully we've got some winners. We're back with the F tag. We're back with our touchdown scorers, and I think we've got a new little section that we might be adding in there.
Well, you do your F tag 5, of course, where you come up with the 5 teams to go for. We're going to have an ACCA void. Turns out I didn't realise this. I missed this. Sky Bet have got something similar, which I didn't know. But essentially, what we are doing is we are picking one favourite to avoid. Do not put in your ACCA. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, and then we'll have our touchdown scorers. So hopefully we'll have as much success. I'm going to keep track this year because I reckon I was over 60% in my picks.
You did well with your F tag 5 stuff,
Yeah. So I think I was well over 60% in terms of just we were 4-1 and 3-2 a lot. We never went the other way around. So and obviously we won it 4 or 5 times, something like that. So it's a good one to look at. But we'll be back with that. But till then, keep with the franchise tag and see you.